When you really want to succeed, you'll do whatever you can to get to the top. MegD Edries, was an up-and-coming Brawlhalla Pro who had been criticized very early on for his playstyle. Being a player from the online generation, the only way to prove the doubters that he was more than just his playstyle was to qualify for his first LAN tournament. He needed to make PR number 13 to receive an invitation, and at the time he sat at PR 17, just before the final qualifying tournament, the Spring Championship. Something else to mention, MegD is talked about a lot when you get deeper into the Brawl scene, especially for someone who doesn't have the placements of a player that is talked about this much, mainly due to the odd competitive nature in which he plays that is also constantly working against him when he's in the spotlight.
Look in the mirror and realize that all the people who are calling Phazon trash or MegD trash would not even make it anywhere near this spot in the bracket, playing whatever play style they could think of.
He sets the bar for a highly talked about play style in fighting games. So let's get into it.
That's guaranteed.
That's either 17th or
20th,
20th, making it into a guaranteed 5th place. If you win this, you guarantee yourself a 5th place position. That's huge. MegD needs this.
Okay, this seems simple, right? You just gotta beat the guy 3 ladder placements beneath you. However, isn't it a bit odd PR 17 and 20 are in the top winners 12? Well, that's because Blazy just beat power rank number 9, who probably could have wiped both these guys out of the tournament. And this is good and kind of bad. MegD gets an easier opponent to face, but that opponent is riding off the momentum of beating Radish. And the winner of this is almost guaranteed an invite to MSI. However, the loser is almost positively gonna drown in the lower bracket. MegD cannot afford to lose this set, and neither can Blazy if either hopes to make it to MSI. To sum it up, the final invitation spot is basically being played for right now.
Pretty low defense, not the lowest of the defense, but pretty low defense. MegD can definitely score a knockout here.
Oh, yeah, that's the big side signal.
You actually want to see MegD succeed in this tournament and earn his way to mid-season champ.
Uppercut option still spent. MegD now hunting Blaze down big. A lot of people forget 7 speed. She moves.
He's so close.
Whoa, perfect dodge right through that slide kick.
Whoever throw MegD.
Oh my God!
Is that enough?
The sweat drops. They're coming. Dumped. And MegD now.
You're on the podium straight up.
Oh, wait a minute. The option.
Oh, MegD can barely. He touched the wall. He touched the wall. He got his jump back. Again, he
Did
got
he
his
get the
jump
touch?
back.
Yes. You see that touch, that cloud, as soon as he touches the wall.
This is it. Oh, he didn't want to risk going for that recovery.
I respect it.
And then in the end, MegD.
Say what you want about MegD, but he's reliable. And now that you've made it to the top 5, you can just chill out, okay? Not much else needs to be done. Hold on 1 second, I'm getting a phone call. Hello? He needs more to make it to MSI. And Luna's next in his bracket. What if he doesn't beat Luna? He'd have to win in losers. Top 3? All right, I'll let him know. Okay, really quick, the math came out wrong. A few players expected to do well came a bit short, and the person in front of you on the list, Pugsy, just made it into the top 8. So turns out, you may just have to make it into the top 3 if you want to go to MSI. Sorry, math, it's not my strong suit. Anything is possible in these tourneys, but the Jedi mind tricks that MegD usually uses doesn't work on a player like Luna. Quickly, to sum it up, if you watched the Winter Championship, you had to see the mental torture this man had to deal with facing Snowy in Grand Finals. This is possibly the worst matchup for MegD because Luna is tough as nails when it comes to mental warfare, and he's super aggressive. I think the aggressive playstyle came from all the money matches he used to do, and in money matches, it creates a high intensity environment over just a regular best of 3 or best of 5. So you either want to get it over with or just get in your opponent's head. And Luna was very good at both of those things. And even then, despite everything I just said about Luna, and despite what the Twitch chat might have shown, and for future reference, probably don't trust the Twitch chat, Luna and MegD matches always get really close. I will say this though, the main difference between the two is MegD can hold down 80% of the game, but in those very rare instances that don't seem to come from anything, Luna finds a way to abruptly end stocks. Watching your favorite player against Luna is just hoping one of those moments doesn't occur, but they usually do. And when it happens, it's brutal. It's random, upsetting, and the stock is just gone. I'll get back into Luna more later, but for now, just imagine some demigod off-screen destroying tourneys, and we're just gonna stick with Achilles and watch him go through his epic journey for now. But they'll come back, promise you that. If you're a returning viewer, you may be wondering why there's so many cuts in between the games of MegD and his opponents. That's because I'm trying to edit MegD MegD games where nothing really happens for a majority of the time. So before we resume our scheduled programming, I greatly appreciate your patience, and now let's watch and see if MegD can make it into the top 3. Thank you. I swear making these videos is giving me like split personality disorder of multiple voices in my head. Also, Pugsy lost to Jetbean, which fixes like 90% of the issues with MegD qualifying. This bracket gets even crazier because you may be wondering why Koslix is up here in losers quarterfinal, and that's because he did this to Boomy.
Sidelight nair, sidelight nair. Koslix goes for the second nair. The side air hits. He's low on jumps, but he can make it back.
Oh, but now Boomy trying to go for the edge guard. Has to opt to go for a
Sidelight nair
weapon. You
again.
get Koslix too much time.
I can't
Now, as for MegD versus Koslix, I don't know a ton about who's more in favor here other than Koslix with experience. The Lance has the ability to 0 to death anyone regardless of their defense. However, Lance players kind of struggle with two things. Off stage is not Lance's best area, as the recovery gives your opponent a lot of time to set up for the punish, and Val has a specific signature that really punishes a certain area off edge of the map. Secondly, Lance has some great horizontal movement, but when that horizontal movement stops, it opens up a great window for MegD to create a punish. And if the Lance player is just constantly chasing MegD down and MegD's turning around and punishing them, you see where I'm going? There's a real shot at MegD beating Koslix here.
One hit,
There it goes.
and he's unarmed. Can Koslix make it back?
And then got the sword in here from MegD. They're trying to find a way to close this out. Koslix finally gets a rocket lance back in hand. This is their last chance,
That's
their
it.
last stand. But that is all it's gonna be as we see MegD closing out game 4.
It's almost as if I had watched the game ahead of time and knew what would happen. Kind of like what I said, Lance has a lot of horizontal movement. However, at the end of those moves, there's a good area for MegD to hit a D-Light recovery, punish, win the game. All right, moving along in the bracket, who's next?
End of the day, Luna's the one who's still getting a W.
I'm sorry, little one.
But MegD's patient playstyle does play well.
Wait, Stingray beating MegD is what the Twitch chat would lead you to expect, but they were wrong. Let this be a lesson about trust, and that you should always just blindly trust me to guide you and never question the evidence in the videos. MegD would unfortunately lose his next set against Jetbean, but he made it into the top 3, and now it's time to wait to see the invitation results.
Let's look at the North American invites for the mid-season championship. I'm so used to saying spring championship. Pugsy, he clutched it. Woo! He clutched it out so hard. He's in there.
Wow.
Remember, the spring championship was just a stepping stone. The real mission starts now, and we have an objective to complete. Number 1, prove MegD's playstyle works great on the LAN environment as the mental game becomes even harder to deal with in person. And prove the doubters wrong that MegD is more than just a passive playstyle, but in fact, an extremely good brawler. That is all the numbers. I don't know why the scroll was numbered, because there's only one. Day 3, singles, MSI. MegD's first opponent is Zyder. Now let me tell you, every game is a fair game, right? But if there had to be a slightly unfair match, it'd be MegD versus Zyder. Zyder is a top European pro player who plays Orion. Seems simple, right? But who did MegD beat in his last major tournament victory? Stingray, who is also largely regarded as the best Orion player in the world, and someone who has dealt with playing with MegD before. So, probably not the best Orion player in the world, facing someone who has beat the best Orion player in the world would kinda look like this.
MegD has to lose himself.
Hey, I get it, man. It's okay. So already we're proving the fact that MegD's playstyle in a LAN is extremely effective on someone's mental.
Dodges nice fastballs underneath the weapon throw, makes it back up on top, has to turn around. No, Luna unarmed damage, has Laura's off on the side of the stage now, looking for an edge guard with the orb.
This is so close. The pressure is on, man. They must be so nervous
Side air,
right now.
not yet enough to knock out, but look at that options being spent. Luna setting up the corner. There it is. Side air, 3-2.
Oh, man.
If you were a MegD fan at the time of this tournament, you could not be more happy to see Luna's bracket. Luna is one of the few I'd actually be worried about for MegD to lose to, looking at their previous sets. So when you see Luna has a close first set against Laura's, then has to go face Boomy, who had a positive win rate against Luna at this time, it should be relieving. But then we witness the most tactical mental move of all time. Luna locking in the Mordex to give Boomy some flashbacks of his dark, but no, I'm just joking. It's probably more of like a matchup reason going into the set.
And this Mordex or Tai Lung is that was a player-specific choice.
Guns and Orb are pretty strong due to their simple confirms with attacks. Orb has a lot of sidelight Sarah action, and Boomy has some of the best fundamentals in the game, so Reno kind of works out here. This set would also determine who would then have to fight Fiend, which would have been even more of a challenge.
Because, you know, Blasters have got the longest range in the game. They have that dead zone inside where Blasters that was a wishful roundhouse, almost worked.
Oh, that one will work. No, actually.
Wow.
Takes it in. Does not favor going for the weapon. Oh, wait, toss it. It worked. Oh my gosh. No. You had far in. That was so great. That was great. But still amazing damage from Fiend. Oh, Boomy's even red on that final stock. Luna claims it there.
As we saw, the Tai Lung counter pick worked, and in the meantime, MegD was facing Wave God, a set that would end in 3-0. And I'm not gonna put you guys through watching that set. So, moving on, we're probably going to one of the most exciting sets of the tournament, and not for the reason you'd think. Sandstorm has clearly solidified his spot at the top of Brawlhalla for his singles career, and it's not even close. Now, despite what many people think, Sandstorm was known to be a fairly passive player who was just kind of in the enemy's face. And his clips were crazy, right? Yes, but they largely relied on the enemy overstepping and then getting punished and then getting red and red and red multiple times in a row. Well, what if he were to face someone at a pro level who is known not to overstep as much, such as MegD? And I think this comment sums it up pretty well right here by Obama Bin Ballin 991. Thank you. Step 1. Sorry. Step 1, don't get punished. Step 2, punish. An impossible paradox for both these players. And you see this immediately. Sandstorm takes the first stock of the first set and gets 0 extra credit onto the second stock as MegD just completely slows down the game. And again, when Sandstorm takes his second stock, he gets no extra credit as MegD brings the pace back to 1 mile per hour. And do not mistake this for me hating on MegD. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Stick to the plan that worked online and show that it works offline. Prove everyone wrong is exactly what I've been wanting to see MegD do this entire tournament. And there's no better way to stop all the haters than to kill their god right in front of them, slowly. And anytime you thought Sandstorm was about to start storming, we had to put a stop to that immediately. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, this move. What did I just witness?
Sandstorm's in a tough spot here. Kicks him away. It's not enough. MegD is in a power position right now and finishes it. MegD.
If it wasn't Brawlhalla and I was MegD, I'd honestly be scared that the person next to me didn't like get up and just start swinging. But it is a fighting game. You have to expect people to sometimes have different playstyles, and one of them can be very long and drawn out matches. And while MegD once again proves to be the King Slayer, please tell me Fiend won, man.
Neutralite sends him so far off stage. What a chase!
Bro, what? Who else can we send at him? Boomy, Fiend, and do we have to do this? Okay, back then, and even now, we all knew it would come to this. And by this point, I can confidently say MegD has proven he is more than capable to beat Luna. And he has proven how much skill he has as a competitor to gain respect he finally deserves. But we can always do better, and that would of course be beating Luna once and for all to finally prove everyone Damn. Alright, moving on to Fiend then. Fiend versus MegD. Whoever wins this gets the chance to face Luna in the grand finals. Fiend is pretty much on the opposite end of MegD when it comes to in-game tactics. Even at the highest level of competition, Fiend can absolutely embarrass his opponent with his combos. And it's not like he does it with Mordex like everyone else does, but he can destroy someone on Brynn or even worse, his Queen Nai. MegD has already proven able to beat players he's never faced before, but this is the top level talent from another region who's known to be incredibly aggressive. So all MegD has to do is maintain his leads. And that sounds simple, but I've been talking about MegD like this when we were in top 12 and in top 8, not in the top 3 elimination final versus one of the best threats from South America.
And like, who needs gauntlets, brother? When you have a sword like, when you have a spear like that, who needs gauntlets too? Doesn't quite hit. Fiend goes to the light. The second light hits. He knows the dodge is gone. So what's that?
well, who has established his own player identity. Cassie, you talk about this all the time, right as MegD takes game 1.
And the most important takeaway from this set is one of the things that puts MegD apart from a semi-pro player all the way to the top level pro players is the ability to just hold on for as long as the clock is running. Because sometimes, even for players such as MegD, things like this can happen.
Like Taza said, that sword that's been doing so incredibly well.
Let's go, Fiend! Let's go! That was the craziest.
Losing a 2-stock lead like that is usually devastating, but as long as that clock is ticking down in the top right corner, the higher MegD's chances of winning actually are. And this must be a miserable first introduction for Fiend towards what the rest of NA's pro level has been facing. Oh, also, if you want to see how a pro player does with a Queen Nine spamming signatures, here you go. As you watch the rest of the set complete and you see MegD dial back the pace, it's pretty clear where this is going. What's even worse is he posts up like a sage in between the matches, and I never figure out what he's pointing at here. So far, MegD has not let a single opponent win more than one game on him, and Fiend would be no different. And with that, it is now time for MegD to head to the grand finals at his first ever LAN tournament.
Luna, the player that a lot of people put in their first place, and even more people put in their top 3.
There is about a 3-minute speech on how Luna is going to win this tournament before the grand finals. So if that doesn't help paint the picture on MegD versus Luna, I don't know what will. And you know, they're right to have that speech about Luna being the greatest player on the planet right now. But somehow, MegD went from having pro players stop playing against him mid-match back in spring of 2021 to competing in grand finals with the actual support of the fans for once. And trust me, just because it's grand finals, the MegD playstyle is not going away. In fact, it's only gotten better. It's actually more aggressive, but it still takes a super long time. To give a frame of reference, Low Tier City 7 Grand Finals almost goes to Game 5 twice, and that is only half an hour, with all the extra footage. This set is almost an hour of Brawlhalla gameplay that Luna and MegD had to go through.
Entire game, trying to land on the stage and not succeeding. Some fantastic control from MegD. He hits the end. He comes the new weapon spawn. And MegD! And now it's one stuck. MegD knocked out the bottom. And Luna leads down back down to the main platform. We're seeing those hammer swings. None of them are making it back to that side. Even gets the weapon spawn. The down there recovery might not be enough to move on. MegD hits so many that no KO. But he's going to go for 4 if he keeps the sword down. Like recovery this time. MegD is going to get the reset.
Aha, that is a bracket reset. Technically, MegD has beaten Luna in bracket now. Doubters, I'm fairly certain that's how it works. Maybe not for record keeping though, and he's definitely beaten him in the past, so doesn't matter. MegD would have to win another 3 games in order to become MSI champion, and it would take an insane momentum pull for Luna to jump out of the hole he is in, but it is Luna.
From Luna, and MegD knew it was coming. He was that could have won priority there, kept him safe. Yo! Beat the Gambit Luna. It's to be crowned the champion of the first land since 2019. All he needs to know is this neutral light's not going to be enough to down there. And MegD.
After Luna fails that recovery to stage, the final game of the tournament is happening. Of course, in typical MegD fashion, it's by far the longest. Like, I can't express to you how rare it is as a common player to see the clock that low in Brawlhalla.
Good KO move. MegD might be done. His dreams might be dashed. You see Luna being very careful. He doesn't want to get punished. He's jumping around. Down there. He picks it up. High enough. Luna is your mid.
And I don't want you to take this as a total loss. It completely changed the outlook on MegD as a pro player. However, to this day, both of his best performances are on lands. He is still yet to claim a major win, and I'm sorry, there will be no BCX World Championship tournament arc in this video. While MegD did manage to literally top 8 in the world's hardest tournament, he had already proven the doubters wrong by then. And yeah, I have other storylines on Brawlhalla as well, so if you're interested in learning more about some of the pro players mentioned in this video, just check out the channel. I'm cringe in like all the videos though, so fair warning. Thank you for watching the video, and please reach out to me on Discord for other topics you'd like to see as well. I respond to all of you, even the weirder ones, and please don't add me and just spam call me. That happens like a ton, and it's not funny. It's kind of funny, but it's not funny. Please don't do that again. Thank you.